This is Mission Qualfon, a monthly podcast that takes you inside the workings of our company, but not just the ins and outs of business. We look at the ideas and insights that make Qualfon truly unique. As a company, we are committed to being the best and making each person's life better. Join us as we get to know and learn from people from across the organization. What's their story? What have they learned? And how do they live out Qualfon's mission? Welcome to Mission Qualfon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Mission Qualfon Podcast.
Well, Jeremy, you know, my title is Director of Strategic Initiatives, which it's not podcast host. But one of the biggest strategic initiatives, or one that's been continuous from our chairman, Alfonso Gonzalez, is growing and diversifying the company, making it something much more than BPO service. And right. I think our guests this week are just great examples of some of the different things that we do in our company.
Yeah, I agree. We're super excited to have two great guests with us today. We have Tom Denomme, who's our managing director of our Assured Choice Insurance Group. And we also have Sandra Stephens, who's the site director of our Richardson, Texas site. And they both have interesting stories, and they both have worked together over the years. So it's that's why we wanted to bring them on together. I think it will be a fun conversation. So Tom and Sandra, welcome to the Mission Qualfon Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're doing this a little bit differently because I wanted to highlight how diversified we are, but also kind of like how we're a family and we're all connected in different ways. And you two run different parts of our company that, you know, I would love to learn more about. And they're completely different from each other. I'm going to start with Miss Sandra Stephens. Could you tell us a little bit about your division and what you do and how it's different than, you know, the BPO services that I'm aware of?
Sure, my pleasure. It's Kramer Direct does direct mail for individual insurance agents as well as large insurance companies. We cater to the little mom and pop insurance agency on the corner, as well as some of our bigger, larger insurance companies. But our specialty is the senior market. Doing direct mail to seniors who are interested in Medicare supplement, final expense, annuities, anything for that like over age 60 market. So rather than being a call center, we talk to agents daily and we take orders and we put together creative packages and mail the old-fashioned way through the USPS. And that's basically what we do. We receive responses back, we scan those and deliver them via email to all of our clients.
Sandra, I think it's fascinating that, you know, if you watch marketing, you watch commercials, everything you see on the internet, it's all about technology. It's all about the neat things that companies do. I find something very comforting to know that there are still companies that service folks that do business by mail. And there's still a lot of people that prefer to do things by mail. So that gives me a level of comfort knowing that we still do that.
Well, sure. I mean, not everybody goes to their mailbox every day. However, people age 60 and over do. They make that daily walk to the mailbox. And they don't always answer the phone, the calls that come in. So we need another venue to reach prospects and direct mail still works. We're still there. We're still, working toward the goal of getting that prospect to our client.
I can't wait to tell the story of Sandra's career and the back and forth. But before we get there, Sandra, I want to introduce our next guest, which you have a past with, which we will get to. But he's in charge of a completely different part of our organization, and I'd love to learn more about it. So, Tom, could you tell us about Assured Choice and what you do and how it came to be?
Sure. So, and again, thanks for inviting me. The Assured Choice is, we started it last October after a lot of planning that went into it. But Assured Choice is an independent insurance agency. And what that means is, we have a team of licensed insurance agents that sell both property and casualty, which is like home and auto. And we have agents that sell life insurance and final expense policies. And we're looking to expand that side also. And as an independent agency, what it allows you to do is we have contracts with a number of different carriers, about 14 carriers on the P&C side, and we have access to 90 on the life side. We don't try to use 90, but we have access to the full market on the life side. And what that allows us to do again is to offer, as we're working with our clients, competitive quotes across the different carriers so that it's like a one-stop shop. If instead of going on the internet and going into each one of the carriers' sites and try to figure out how to get a quote from them and then getting hit with questions from all of them, you can come to one spot and really get a competitive quote across all of those carriers. And in addition to that, based on the client's personal situation, you can help get them to the carrier that best fits their needs.
I'm fascinated by this because this is something that we've created from the ground up as a part of of the organization. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is accurate. It has been a startup, which is always a challenge, to do startups. But if you look at, again, the company's expertise as Qualfon and Dialogue Direct in the past, we do a lot of work in the insurance space. We have a number of the carriers that we actually do sell for as Qualfon, and we do provide a lot of marketing services for those also, as far as the lead generation, including some of what Sandra does.
So how do we not compete with our own clients?
It's a good question. If you really think about it, every carrier that we have contracts with, and most of the customers that we do work for in the BPO space have independent agencies that they sell products through, because they're really looking to place contracts, through people who are very good at selling. But also, there's areas of the country that they're always trying to get coverage into. And as an independent agency, we're not necessarily looked at as a competitor. We're just another one of the channels for them to sell through, and something that they're very used to doing.
I think this seems like a brilliant strategy. As Director of Strategic Initiatives, I'm very grateful for you. Thank you very much. That's awesome. It's really, I know in the BPO space, insurance is a huge part of businesses across the industry. So to pivot and kind of do this and create it, and something that we're already subject matter experts in a way, and not compete but be an added value to our insurance clients, that's got winner. Right. Congratulations. And I think, Jeremy, what I love about putting both Sandra and Tom together on this podcast is it kind of highlights our diversity. Like, just these are two different entities within our organization.
And so Tom, let me follow up a little bit on this too, because you I'm sure weren't involved in every conversation from the beginning, but what led our founder Alfonso, Mike Morrow, the leadership of our company, what was that like from the beginning to say, hey, let's start our own agency? What was kind of driving that decision? And then where did you become involved in that process?
So I think, from what they were looking for, again, is to diversify the company, so that it's, and really the company does in the BPO space, they do work, but on an hourly basis for a number of different insurance carriers and in insurance agencies or brokers in the past. So there's a lot of expertise that we have in the ability to sell. And what I would say, if you look at the industry in the independent agency side of the industry, most of them are smaller entities. There's thousands of independent insurance agencies, but there's very few that are selling across all of the states. And they definitely don't have the technology platforms of what Qualfon has. The call center technologies that we have the ability to use, and the quality programs that we have and that we're using with some of the artificial intelligence technologies that we're using to help coach the agents. A lot of the industry, or a lot of the individual agencies, don't have that technology, or even the process and the quality process that Qualfon has to bring to bear on an agency, which is why one of the reasons that I'm excited to come back to the company and start this up. But I think that's again part of what the executive team saw, is there's this huge opportunity to bring all of the programs and the process and the technologies to bear in all of the marketing services that this company has, the data analytics team, all of that skill that the company has, bring to bear on a company. I'm glad to say I'm the beneficiary of that.
I'm excited for you. I want to piggyback on something you said, because you said coming back to the company, and I think that will bring in Sandra to the podcast, because you two have a history, and I wanted to kind of highlight that. And I think it starts, Jeremy, would you say it starts with acquisitions, right? Is the way to pull the story?
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things. And we've that's kind of been a common thread in the podcast, is how Qualfon has always had their eye on other companies that have similar values that make sense to leverage that synergy, right? So I totally think it's a story about acquisitions and bringing different organizations together.
And I think we've mentioned it on multiple podcasts about the acquisition of Dialogue Direct. So, Sandra, with that, could you tell us about your background? Because I find it fascinating how you know Tom from your past. And I love the story of you being acquired and waiting out your your non-competes. Could you tell us more about it and how you know Tom?
Sure. Well, to begin with, my career began in direct mail back in 1985. We started a little company and sold it in 91. I had a 2-year non-compete agreement, could not go back into direct mail until 2 years later. So during that time, Alan Kramer, the founder of the company, wrote a book. I assisted with that. We got it published during that 2 years. Then we started a second company and we sold it. We said, okay, we signed a 5-year non-compete. We're not going back into direct mail. We're done. We're going to retire from it. And Alan and I both were at home for about a year, and we said, no, this ain't going to work. We got to get back out there and do something. And so we started a new company in 2008, Kramer Direct. And then Dialogue Direct approached us in 2015 and acquired us. And that's when my relationship with Tom came to be, because I reported directly to Tom. He helped ease us through and got us into the family and what Dialogue Direct was about at that time. And I got to work with Tom for a couple of years before he left. And when he came back, I was so excited because Tom is just phenomenal. He has the patience of Job and just works so well with everyone. And it's been a great transition. Even with Qualfon, the values of the company. We're small. There's only 7 people in Kramer Direct. So we are very tight. We're very family oriented. And being acquired by such a large corporation, we haven't been forgotten. And people like Tom just brought us in and made us a part of the family.
Tom, let's kind of hear your story a little bit. What kind of brought you to Dialogue Direct? Initially, you left for a bit, you came back. If you want to kind of walk through that, and again, if you might have some insight into how you brought Kramer Direct into the family, as Sandra said. So what are your thoughts?
So thank you, and thank you, Sandra. That was very nice of you. I was I came to Dialogue Direct in 2013. I had worked with Doug Kearney and Jim Gilliman in another company in the past, and so we knew each other. But we were at different companies. And when this opportunity came around to get back together and work together again, I jumped at it. I became the chief, or actually I started out with the company in more of a quickly as a process improvement individual while the company was transitioning. And then I became the CIO for about a year. So I went through all the technology platforms. And then I moved into the chief operating officer role for Dialogue Direct. And I was in that role for about 4 years. And during that time, we were looking at acquisitions, and Kramer came up. And at that point, Dialogue was really, again, looking to expand their capabilities in that marketing services arena, and Kramer having a very ability to target the Medicare products, and along with the final expense products. It was something that the company was looking for because we were servicing a lot of companies, again, that were in that space, in the insurance space. And so when we were lucky to acquire the company, I worked with Sandra, and I really took a deep dive into their technology solution, and then worked with her to bring the print side of it, which they do a lot of print generation or direct mail, bring that into the into the Highland Park and the Robbinsville office for us to be able to do that printing. And just on that point, when you look at, and we've had some discussions recently on this, the one thing that if you do look at that direct mail side, is what it does allow you to do versus maybe some of the digital space is it does allow you to specifically target the person you want to try to talk to. And if you and with the team that we have as far as the data analytics team and the data management team, is to be able to target having that Kramer group do those direct mail campaigns that have been successful as far as getting response. It's different than if you're out in the digital space. It may be less expensive on the initial touch, but you're not getting exactly the client that you may be looking for the type of product that you're trying to sell. So that's why I do think that the print side will continue to have, as one of the touch points of a marketing campaign.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard the theory that print was going to go away my whole career.
Yes, but
hasn't happened yet.
We keep going.
we keep going, and it's as big as ever. So I think it's exciting. I mean, we do it all. We've got BPO, we've got direct marketing, we've got marketing services, we've got an insurance company. I mean, we are a one-stop shop. And what I think is super exciting about our growth, and as we continue to grow and expand, is also that ultimately we're a company that is, I'm like so passionate about this mission of making each person's life better. Every interaction we have with our clients, with our customers, with their customers, with each other as peers, with everyone in our days, we're truly passionate about the betterment of everyone that works for the company, anyone that we deal with within the company. So as we grow and expand, it's very exciting to me. But for you two, the question is, what was your reaction to this idea of this mission, of this bigger concept than just profit? How did that play into the coming back to work for the companies, the acquisitions that you've been a part of? What was your impression of the mission? I'll start with you, Sandra. Ladies first.
Okay, thank you. Well, Qualfon provides so many opportunities for all of us to improve our individual self, whether it's continuing your education or just learning from each other and collaborating together. They provide so many opportunities like that. But I'll tell you, one thing that impressed me the most is reaching outside of ourselves into our communities. A few years ago, when we had the anniversary meeting in Mexico, and we built the cribs for children that we didn't even know. Well, like I mentioned, Kramer is small. There's only 7 of us. Well, we talked about that. And we said, how can we make an impact outside of our community here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? So we reached out and asked for the name of a child who received one of those cribs. And ever since then, every month, we are sponsoring that one family. We can make a lot of impact by buying school supplies, donating here, donating there. But we decided as a group, we really want to have an impact on one family. And so Qualfon opened up that opportunity for us, and I'm forever thankful. And we're watching our little girl grow up. And that is just, we can't wait to see her get in school, to graduate high school, hopefully continue on to college. That's our goal.
Jeremy, you and I should sponsor someone from
that was
the Mission Qualfon Podcast.
Yeah, that is wonderful. That is I was not even aware of that, Sandra. And that is and what a great thing that you as a small team of 7 people took that initiative to take that on and make a difference there. I think that's awesome.
And for the audience, just in case, you haven't listened to every single one of our podcasts, go back to listen. I think it's episode 10 with Marie Carmen Gonzalez, the wife of our founder, talks about Cuatro Ciénegas and Plan 2040. Yes. And we've, as an organization, have basically adopted the total development of a community of children born, I believe, after I want to say 2017, crossing my fingers. And those children born after that day, from birth through college, we are trying to assist them through this life experience. Exactly. So that's a wonderful, and you've inspired me. I want to do that as well.
Great.
Tom, tell us the mission. How do you incorporate that in the business world? You have such vast experience in business, and this is different. We don't have this in everyday companies. So what was this like for you?
As I am an older individual, I've been through a number of different companies, and I've had a lot of experiences over time. I will say the mission that the company has is very inspiring. It is the most, it's the strongest I've ever seen in any organization as far as living the mission. And really for me, it fits very well with my management style. I've always been, worked as a mentor. I've always brought new people on and help them through coming out of college and getting into a career path and helping them understand what it takes to be successful. I'd say that, from the company, the agency itself, when you think about the vocation that we can now provide, or the vocational path that we can provide for people who really do want to become a long-term insurance sales individual, we've got that path for them within the organization. And again, the thing that the company does really well is they're into all types of improvement programs to help that person be more successful. And again, that's one of the reasons I am excited to be here again. Is I worked for an insurance agency when I left. I came back after a couple of years, but that insurance agency, they were a really good company, but they didn't have the same type of a program to help people succeed like this company does. And it's helping the person succeed by themselves, also helping them become self-sufficient and learn how to really be a top sales performer. Between the quality programs that the company has, between the coaching programs that the company has, it really helps elevate that person. Everybody still has to take it on themselves to learn and to be open to it. But the people who are gain a tremendous benefit, and again, that helps make those persons' lives better.
Did you catch that, Jeremy? Because I know Tom has not listened to the Sarah Carpenter episode because we haven't published yet, but he almost verbatim said exactly the same thing she said about the opportunities at Qualfon, but you have to do the job. You have to pick up that.
Right.
Yeah, you have to take a step, right? You have to. Yeah, that's great. I forgot to mention earlier, you guys had mentioned non-competes. I just wanted you both to know that you're not allowed to appear on any other podcast for 2 years. I don't know if we told you
that.
You are so good, Jeremy.
This is my first podcast, Jeremy, and I wouldn't say it wasn't part of my plan.
That was a good one, Jeremy.
Sorry, I was just.
That was very good.
And we were talking about non-competes. I think it was when I first met Sandra, and she was telling the stories of the company would sell, and she had a non-compete, so she'd be, home, and that I just remember resonating so much with her when she's like, but she was just, so antsy for that non-compete to be over.
I think it was the fact that I stayed home for a year, cleaned every closet that I could possibly do, and then I'm calling Alan like, okay, what can we do? He said, yeah, my wife Susan's ready to kick me out. You gotta be active. You gotta, contribute. Because when you contribute, that's when you're rewarded.
Yeah, I love that. And I understand the frustration of writing out a non-compete. So that is a really relatable story. Well, thank you both for coming on. I have loved getting to know both of you more and hearing your stories. I do have one more question before we let you go. You both have a phenomenal background, career experience, both of you. So Jeremy and I are aware that new hire agents listen to our podcast and learn about the company through the podcast. And one of the questions we like to ask of people is, what's the advice you would give someone who's just entering the workforce or just coming on to work at our company? And Sandra, just for the sense of equanimity, we're going to go with Tom first.
Yes.
So my advice would be to people who come into the company is, one, always be learning. That's critical. Then that's growth. Understand the process that you fit in. This company is very geared towards laying out a process. To me, I would understand where you fit into the overall process and understand the upstream and downstream parts of that process, so you understand, how you're impacting it or how it's impacting you. So you can always make recommendations, or you can understand how you're impacting others. And then I would also, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, just take ownership in your role. I've had a lot of people that have come back to me after, I've worked with them years ago, and they said, one of the biggest things that I learned was I had to take, and I would tell them, take ownership in your role and what you do while you're working. And they've been very successful because they've shifted their mindset to not be an observer, but shift into actual taking ownership in what they do to make sure that they do their best when they're on the clock. And then don't be afraid to strive to take on new roles, take on new activities. It's, again, always be learning, and the more that you learn and the more diversified your experience gets, the more opportunities there are for you.
Oh, I couldn't have said it any better. It is taking advantage of opportunities presented, and Qualfon gives you so many. It's getting in there and being the best that you can be. And by being the best, it can open doors for you. We're in the process of hiring a new employee. Well, when I went to the person's office, I was like, what I would really love to do is find someone inside our company that would like to come and work with us. So we're in the process of hiring someone out of Idaho now that we are, work from home, and we're able to do that. And she has worked in the call center for a number of years, and we're hoping to bring her into the Kramer division. And we're just really excited. And I think the thing I would say to everyone out there is to look at what's available within the company. There are a lot of opportunities, and just put yourself out there.
Tom and Sandra, before we let you go, if there's anyone that would be interested in talking to either of you, whether it's on the insurance side or the direct mail side, Sandra, how would they reach you? How can they get in touch with you, Tom, for instance?
So we've got the Assured Choice website, assuredchoice.com. You can go onto the website. You could email us at qualfon@assuredchoice.com, or our 800 number is 800-719-6400.
Great. And Sandra, what if they want to reach Kramer Direct?
Our website is kramerdirect.com. That is with a K. And you can always email us at info@kramerdirect.com.
Thank you very much, Tom and Sandra. It has been wonderful talking to you, and we appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Take care.
Jeremy, we wrapped another episode. I'm so excited. I learned so much more about what we do, and I really enjoyed getting to know both our guests this week.
I agree. And they both just had such great experiences. And again, you mentioned it a couple times. It's been mentioned a couple times. The way that Qualfon has diversified. We don't just stay in one area. We're involved in lots of things, and I think that's really exciting.
Yes, I'm excited to be able to highlight that. And you can also find more information about our company at qualfon.com. And that's a perfect segue into who our next guest is. It's going to be our Chief Sales and Solutions Officer, Dave Drayton, and some of his team are coming to join us, and hopefully they'll share more of the wonderful things we do here at Qualfon.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Bye, Marisol.
Goodbye, Jeremy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Mission Qualfon. Remember, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Mission Qualfon.